Election Day. There are crowds of people gathering in Clark County, Nevada, many waving Trump banners and Trump flags. Clark County includes the city of Las Vegas.
This is a live picture from that area right now. Election officials in several states, including Nevada, have faced protesters as they try and continue the daunting task of counting a historic amount of ballots. Many of them came in by mail because of the pandemic. Joe Gloria, the registrar in Clark County, said security would be increased because the counting of votes would not stop.
Let's take a look at the latest out of Nevada tonight. You can see a difference of 11,438 votes. Joe Biden with the lead right now.
Meantime, let's take a look at the latest coming out of Georgia. It is oh so close throughout the day. Joe Biden has been chipping away at President Donald Trump's lead. The difference right now stands at 1,775 votes.
And the goal, of course, 270 electoral votes in the race for the White House. Right now, this is how the Associated Press sees it. Joe Biden with 264 electoral votes. They called Arizona for the former vice president. Donald Trump with 214 electoral votes right now.
Despite no end to the election, the president today holding a press conference to declare victory and suggesting illegal voting, but no evidence of that has been presented.
And Republican Will Hurd responded to those comments from the president tonight on Twitter, saying, quote, "A sitting president undermining our political process and questioning the legality of the voices of countless Americans without evidence is not only dangerous and wrong, it undermines the very foundation this nation was built upon. Every American should have his or her vote counted," end quote. As we all wait and watch this historic election unfold, some high school students are expressing some anxious feelings. A government teacher at Burbank High School is using the election to teach students in real time.
With their sights set on the future, these students are already voicing what they want the next president to focus on. The night team's Tiffany Huertas with the story.
The uncertain outcome of the presidential election has these Burbank High School students feeling worried.
I feel very anxious and scared.
Me and my friends we're so scared, honestly. Like, really close to the point, like, we don't know what's going to happen.
The seniors are part of Gilbert Vasquez's government class.
With the election going on, you just have abundance of information to cover in class. It's not the general textbook stuff, so you always have something to discuss.
Students have learned about battleground states, what each candidate stands for, and were even required to watch the presidential debates.
We talked about some of the processes, especially the Supreme Court justice that he nominated.
17-year-old Kate Ortiz hopes the next president focuses on immigration.
I myself am not a very political person, but I've honestly gotten really intrigued this year.
As America waits to find out who will be the next president, Ortiz understands emotions are high, but says there is no need for violence.
There's nothing that you can do to change this, and this process is...
We gotta make a change. We gotta do it now.
18-year-old Desengimana Ernest says the next president needs to focus on jobs.
This pandemic has really caused a lot of unemployment and problems with a lot of people, but with a better economy, I feel we can overcome this.
Ernest is concerned what could happen in the next election when he does vote.
It kind of scares me to know that, in the future, I might have to go against this and not be so proud of becoming a Republican or Democrat, whichever one I choose, because of the hate and backlash I get.
Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
Let's take a look at how the election is impacting the balance of power in the U.S. House. Right now, the House of Representatives, the Associated Press calling 208 seats for Democrats, 193 for Republicans. Remember, Democrats held the majority by more than 30 seats before the election. They could still hold the majority, but by a slimmer margin. Republicans have actually gained 6 seats, according to the Associated Press. At least 218 seats are needed to control the House. Meanwhile, over in the U.S. Senate, the Associated Press showing 46 seats on the Democrat side, 48 with the Republican Party. At least 51 seats are needed to hold the majority. The Associated Press reporting that Democrats have gained 1 seat, but Republicans could still hold the majority in the Senate. The outcome in both the House and Senate could play a role in how easy or difficult it could be to get legislation passed and onto whoever the next president is.
Texas sees red again. Democrats had hoped to flip the state blue, but Republicans were the ones who dominated Tuesday night's election. There was a noticeable difference between metro areas and the majority of smaller communities across the state. The Night Team's Stephen Cavazos takes a closer look at the divide between rural and city voters.
It was a historic voter turnout. More than 9 million Texans casted their ballots. But even with record-breaking numbers, Texas remains red. Voters like Marie Nachman were hoping for this outcome.
It's an ongoing effort to live your values, to speak your values.
A county-by-county electoral map shows the majority of smaller counties voted Republican. Nachman lives in Pleasanton, which lies in Atascosa County, an area where President Donald Trump won more than 12,000 votes. Nachman says she and most of her neighbors are Republican, and they believe in tradition.
I think it's a real family-focused area where people care about their kids, their religion.
But here in Bexar County, Joe Biden picked up more than 400,000 of the votes. The former vice president performed well in other counties where metro areas lie. Connie Martinez has lived in San Antonio all her life. She voted for Biden. She says she wants to see change rather than conservative ideas.
Life progresses, life evolves, and you can't change that.
We gotta make a change. We gotta do it now.
Bigger cities tend to be more liberal because the population is more diverse.
San Antonio is growing fast, and different people from different states are moving here.
Rogelio Saenz, a professor of demography at the University of San Antonio, agrees. He says people who move to Texas are more likely to live in urban areas like San Antonio due to affordability. He says a diverse population leans more towards progressive ideas.
You have the concentration of people of color more likely to vote Democrat.
Saenz was not surprised Democrats were not able to flip the state blue. He says that's because there was little engagement with Latinos who reside in smaller communities that have been traditionally red.
You've had a more conservative kind of population. In the rural areas, that has been a very stronghold.
Stephen Cavazos, KSAT 12 News.
To a Nightbeat update now to a story we first brought you last night. The man who was kicked and tased during an arrest in Schertz now has a legal team who's worked on other high-profile cases. Attorneys Artesia Tess House and Daryl K. Washington announced they are representing Rayford. They have been involved in cases of black men who were killed
Black Lives
by
Matter.
San Antonio police, like Antroni Scott, Marquise Jones, and Charles Roundtree. House also represented Mateus Ametu, whose arrest caused controversy after a case of mistaken identity.
Free James are needed. Mistaken identity too.
Was seen on video during this arrest. We showed you this video last night. Police say they attempted to stop him after he drove through a red light. Cameras showed what happened when he made it to his doorstep. Rayford's family responded to the teen's cries and could be seen confronting police officers before one officer says, quote, "You better relax or you're going to be next. I promise you, you will," end quote. Rayford was charged with felony evading in a motor vehicle, resisting arrest, and detention and possession of marijuana. The video has led to an internal investigation, but Schertz police says the man was being uncooperative.
He wasn't at last night's